I'll make this quick. This is module 12, part C. There are actually two different parts that I've discovered through my run-throughs. This is part 1. This is usually the first question, but in order to identify part 1, it's throughout the later bits, and I'll show you why. So here we can see that you got to read the question carefully if you want to answer some of these questions, so you got to be real careful. So with this question specifically, normally you're given the gender anxiety test, but here we're given the 3 different alleles for different drug tests, 5 in different. We'll explain why all of this is relevant later. This is what you're given. Yeah, it's a massive table, but don't worry. I'll show you what's important and what isn't that important. So immediately when I'm looking at this table, I'm looking at this, all the juicy stuff. This is everything you need. And this, oh god, it doesn't go well vertically. And this. So you get the idea. We like the 3, we like the 4, and we also like the 5. Since they're pretty consistent, I only have to do 1, but I summed for some idiotic reason I did 2. And I'm also looking for this, come on, this as well. But that's going to take forever. So let's just move on real quick. Deep dive, deep quick, alright? So this is 12 conditions as previously established from the 3 and the 4. So 3 times 4, you get 12. This is a single measure. You got to read the question carefully because they are like, sometimes this is 1 measure, sometimes this is 2, but usually it's 1. Usually it's 1, and this is what I say for the first one. This is the first distinguishing thing. It's 1 measure, okay? And for a question like this, this is not single factor, okay? Because you got a group A, so group A, and you also got a group B. So that's why it's different. And the reason I say it's C is because, okay, the SGW, I've really never understood how you calculate that. But for the SA over here, SB over here, SAB, which is the combination of the two, which we'll get into later, so don't be too alarmed or too scared. But yes, we'll get into it right away. So the correct choice is C with a given question like this, so you know I'm not lying to you. Okay, so a question I got frequently asked is how do you know the MP is 1? Or like the measurement precision, or how you type in the thing, because you got to be careful here. Measurement precision of the raw data. So usually this is where I'm looking for the raw data. It's the same thing here, so I'm not changing much. Which one is that? Yeah, this is the same one. You can pause and check. These are 2 the same ones. So I just took this number in particular. So if this number didn't exist, this would be 0. But since it does exist, it's 1. And if there was another number after that, okay, that's a terrible number, but let's just say that was 3, right? Then it would be 2. So quick and simple, real quick, easy. Okay, now the formula might be a little challenging and might be a little confusing at first, but I've put it all into an Excel sheet to make it easier to grasp so that it's not so overwhelming. So what I had done was grouped every single one of them like they did in the chart over here, but like I said before, I took all the important information. So I took the 401.8, this number. So you can see here from the top, I'm adding all of them up. Now, of course, I included these guys because sometimes they give you 6 measures, sometimes they give you 3 measures, sometimes they give you 2 measures, sometimes they don't even include this bit, so this is gone immediately. But I mean, I have it programmed in where it just takes it all into account. And since you're calculating for the CM, this would be all of this added together. So this plus this plus this. You can already see it there. And you see that little thing over there. It's so minuscule, but it plays such a big role. That is that little square thing here that's important. So you square all of that and you divide it by E50, E48, K43. They're all colored. So this is the 3, this is the 4, this is 5. This was just me fucking around with another question, so don't worry about it. So if you remember here, if we go all the way back, the 4, the 3, and the 5. And there it is. So 3, 4, 5. Oh, that worked out perfectly. So I think that's 60? Yeah, you guys can do the math. I wouldn't push you to do this, but this is how you do it. Okay, now you remember how I highlighted this section up here as green? Yeah, you're going to have to be adding all of that up. Yeah, that's going to be crazy. Oh, that's going to be such a pain in the ass in the walkthrough. So you're going to be adding all of those up. Oh, that's going to kill me. You're going to be adding all of those up and subtracting with the measurement precision. You can see here that in the formula that I've included, this is exactly what I'm doing. And this is what I do to get the right answer. Obviously, I had clicked on this, so it doesn't give me the answer right away, but I promise you I got the right answer. And so that's the S total. So the green section that I highlighted here, that's the S total minus the precision. You can see the formula right here. That's how we do it. Now the SSA, this formula is unique because it's 1 divided by n times q, which specifically targets group A. So you got to be careful for that. And then it's all of the squared minus the CM. All right. So what I had done was essentially, if you check any of the groups, instead of me just typing it all in, I basically figured it out as these, like just one of them. Like I managed to grab row A3, and if you add all of these up, where it's like, hang on, let me just pull out the calculator so you know I'm not lying to you. Okay, so it's 421 plus 395.9. You can already see how slow I am with the calculator. 392.9 plus 0.1. See, just right there, just like that. That's just one row, and that goes on for that's row A. And so this is how it calculates all of them. So what we do is we square each one individually. So you can see here we squared this one, we added it, we squared this one, we added it, and we squared this one. Okay. After all of that, we bracketed all together, and then we divide it by multiplying. You see here 5 times 4. 5 times 4, which actually gives you 20, and you subtract it all by the CM, and you would get the right answer. Don't worry, you're going to get the right answer soon. And then same thing here for the B. Obviously, I included these two, but since they're zeros, they don't matter, which is actually the M56 and the O56, so we're not going to take those into account, but it's essentially the same thing here, except we're ignoring the A, but this is for the B. This is just me fucking around with another question. I apologize, this is P. It's really confusing. I'm sorry. Don't worry, it's fixed through the walkthrough, so don't worry about it. So this is actually squared plus squared plus squared. You get the idea. Plus squared, that's all of it squared. And then you would take all of this and divide it by 3 times 5. So 3 times 5, which is actually 15. And then subtract it all by the CM. So you're getting the picture pretty quickly. Okay, now this one was actually a little tricky. And you can see the immense amount of code that went into this. That is insane. Obviously, I'm not the best highlighter, but every time I did the equation the way it was meant to be, I always got a wrong answer. So what I had done was use the laws of bedmass to my advantage. So instead of following this particular formula as it instructs me, what I would do, I'm pretty sure I clicked eraser, choose erase. What is going on? Okay, there we go. Please. Thank you. Okay. So what I did was I moved, so I would do the SST total plus CM minus all of this. Okay, so you get the idea. So this is what I initially did. I just moved the CM there so that it doesn't fuck with my entire program. And so yeah, that's right there. You can see the S total and the CM, they're both being added together. And then from there, oh my god, this was such a pain. I had to square each and every one of these. Oh, this took forever. And by the way, the red is to show how one of these is the B group. So if I were to find my calculator, I'm still doing the module right now, but it's kind of late, so doing this last minute. Plus 409.1 plus 0.1. Did I add them wrong? Wait a minute. I think I might have added them wrong. 409. Oh, I put that as a 3. Whoops. Okay. Alright, so let me do that again. Yeah, I did add them wrong. Plus 409 plus 402.1. That's there, and that's the right answer. So that's the B group. So B is straight down, A is straight across. So simple as it gets. And then so this is initially what I did. Eventually I got the right answer. SSAB is the easiest one. And then as you can see, all the right answers are given to me. And usually it'll give it to you, like I clicked it really quickly because I wanted to get through the module really quickly. But believe me when I say this is how you do the question and this is how you do most of the formulas. It is really painful, and I'm being a little sluggish here with the thing, but you can see squared plus squared plus squared plus squared plus, then you go back right here, squared plus, and then you go back right here, doing all the same thing, and you would take all of this divided by n, which just so happens to be 5, and then, I mean, technically according to this you would subtract SST total over here, just a little subtraction sign, and then add CM, but personally I don't like that. Whoops. Yeah. Personally, I don't like that. That would just add on to the confusion. And so we'll continue down to the ANOVI table. This is how we're given it. And where is the... Okay, this disappeared. But I'm going to quickly shift to the table because as you can see, as the ANOVI table is given to you... Okay, see, this is why I wanted to clip it. And fan-fucking-tastic. Okay, so you know what? OneNote. You can see here that we have 2, 3, 6, 48, 59. I'm so sorry. I thought, did it disappear somewhere? Nope. Yeah, just gone. Where'd it go? Okay, whatever. Okay. So as you can see here, everything is dependent on each other. So from here, the 2 is dependent on the E36, so that's group A. So it's 3 minus 1. I love with this how you can just go and highlight the formula. And then from there, you can see that is 202.2 divided by 2. And you get that answer. I mean, that doesn't look like it, but I have rounded this wherein it's specifically to the measurement position. So if I were to extend this, you can see why dividing this by 2 would give you the right answer. But since previously established, that's why it's given like this. And then so if we could look back here to 3, group B is 3. Actually, you know what? While I'm here, I should fix this. Okay, some of you might be wondering why I have such a powerful thing in my disposable and I'm not using it. I am kind of using it, but it's like I'm not going to release this to the public just yet. If you want to go crazy and make one on your own, go for it. Go crazy, go nuts, but I am not going to give this away. I've worked too hard, and it's kind of dangerous. I don't want anyone trying to throw a lawsuit at me. If I fail, I know where I fucked up, especially creating this. So yeah, B, because it's the 4, as previously established, because 3, we're saying 3 here because we're saying group A has 3, because, whoops, because there's 1, 2, 3, and then we're saying 4 because there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's why that's there. And then this formula is just simply the B divided by this, and then you get this. Quick, simple, and easy. And I love how it highlights the boxes and everything. This did not change. No. Okay. And then so this one's pretty simple. All you got to do is just multiply these two and you get your answer pretty quickly. And then to calculate this, you can immediately see AB divided by this, 6, gives you that 28 answer. Short, sweet, and simple. And so this one's a little tricky because what you would do here is this would be the 4 times 3 times 5 minus 1, which is actually 4. So it's 4 times 4, which is 16, and then times 3, which is, I believe, 48. And voila, there you go. And then you would do the same thing with the MSW. You would divide this by 48. This, and then this one's pretty simple. All you got to do is just multiply all of them. 3 times 4 times 5, 60 minus 1, 59. Just making, this is just to fuck with you, but that's why it's there. And then the F thing is pretty simple. All you got to do is make sure you're dividing it by the right thing. That is not right. That does not look right. Hang on. How is it displayed here? There we go. Okay, there we go. That is not right. I was a little sus, but that confirms all my suspicions. So that should be that, and that should be that. So that might be a little confusing, I apologize. But that's essentially what it is. If I were to click here, you would take the MSA and divide it by the MSGW. If you were to do this, MSB divided by the MW. And if you were to do this, bada bing, bada boom. And just to clarify, and just to make sure that I'm proving to you that I'm getting all the right answers, basically, all of this you would have to enter, if you ever got the Excel, but you would have to enter all of this, well, not these guys specifically, but you would have to enter all of this, including some few details, and record all of these numbers down here. It's a huge chart to keep track of, and it's super time consuming, and that's exactly why I created a powerful Excel. I'm not gonna release it. I don't need a lawsuit or whatever the fucking it's called, plagiarism, whatever. So essentially, yeah, if I were to click here on the CM, boom. So all of this squared. So you can see if I were to click here specifically, E4, G4, M4, O4, and then 09, and that's because it's just me jumping around. But if you see all the 9s, all of row 4, all of row 9, all of row 14. So there's no exception. And then E20, that is right here, times the P times the Q. They're all getting divided. And then you have the right answer. And then you have all of them being added together. And then the SSA squared, and then all of them being added together. And just to prove to you that that is the case, sum of E to O, so all of these are being added together. Sum of E to 9, all of these being added together. Honestly, I don't trust the standard deviation this Excel gives me. This one was a little trickier to figure out, but essentially it's the same thing. Don't forget the minus CM, MSGW. This was a pain in the ass. So you gotta take each and single one of them. So row 9, this puts it beautifully. Row 4 and then row 14. All of them squared, each cell individually squared, divided by the E20, which is the 5, and then just simply doing this because it just fucks with the whole program. Because if I were to remove this and put it over here, plus that, okay, hang on. Okay, so it hasn't entirely fucked with the program, but it's essentially the same thing. I don't know why that happened before, but I'm glad it's not. I'm glad I figured it out. And then SAV simply E minus all of those. So yeah, that's all of it. And now I'm going to the charts. Easiest part of the thing. Just follow the thing. MSA, WG, so 2 and 48. Do this quick. Don't have all time. So there we go. Pretty sweet, short, simple, easy. Accept. Now this is for the B one. So just 3, 48. Come on, come on. 3, 48. We accept or do we reject? We accept this. Oh wait, I spelled accept wrong. That doesn't happen. Me being such a terrible typer. Okay, now we're dealing with 6. And oh my god, that worked. 48. And we end up accepting all 3. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Hey guys, real quick, Mr. Dr. Logic here. I completely forgot about question 3. Question 2 is a surprise, legitimately. I think it's more of a bonus question than anything because it's just a simple reminder and how effective my strategy is. So sometimes the question can be tricky because this one's specifically a caffeine question. It's not like we have seen one of those before, but it's completely different as there's A1 no caffeine, A2 2 caffeines, 5 chosen differently, It's usually hard picking this important information out, because usually I don't read this kind of stuff very quickly. So I got to slow down and just start reading some of this, because I usually dive into the calculations. That's where the heart and goal of it is. But usually in the midterm, I lost a lot of points not paying attention to this. So I thought I better give it some good attention. And from the looks of it, it seems perfect. And this is exactly what we're given again. And if you remember, oh my gosh, if you remember anything like I said before, the juicy information is right here. And I do remember someone saying, can we have a negative number? Right there, right there. Two juicy negative numbers. So it happens, it doesn't happen, but the main point is you do not want to do it wrong. So those are the two main informations, the juicy information that I'm looking for. And then here's the green. Come on. Here's the green bit as well. Here's the other green. Oh my god. Here's the other green bit as well. And I realize most of us will be doing it through hand calculations. So this is really going to be important, especially when you're going to do some of these future calculations. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. And speaking of which, I see this N and this 5 immediately being juicy. Since M is pretty consistent, I have to keep a note of that. And P is 2, okay? So what this means is that the P follows here, and the N usually is here. So scrolling down, we can see teenager means there's nothing about this being a teenager. I just love saying teenagers. So you can ignore that. It's just a common way for me to remember. This was actually a little tricky because there's two conditions, as you had to pay attention and read up here. It was continuous within participants because there was no differences. It was just that experimentally determined that, it was experimentally determined how they were picked. So it was experimentally defined. We could have done this with a bunch of random people. Number of participants were 5. Measures were 5. You got to pay attention to that M5. It changes sometimes. And then it's independent. And then so we continue on. And since this is C, like I've been saying, if you get a table like this, definitely think C, especially with the given information like this. When it's given to you and it's comparing the thing side to side and up to down. And while doing the module, I got a little carried away and finished it. I mean, not gonna lie, I kind of got frustrated and just did it all in one go. But essentially, like I've been saying, before I forget, this is all the information I have inputted, and so all the information from before, so this is all of it combined. Group A, Group B, and then hilariously Group C full of zeros, so we get nothing but a 0, and then this going down. Essentially, it is the same thing. If you look right over here, you can do like a comparison screenshot. That's a negative, by the way, so don't be alarmed. This is just a cheap way of me doing shit. And then CM, again, take all of it, add it together. But since it was just a 2x5, you just needed to add all of these together. So just add, and then square it all, and then just divide it straight up by 2, 2, 5, 5. I think that's 50. So just add all of this together and divide it by 50. So don't be surprised it's 7.5 because you have a couple of heavy negative numbers here. As total, all you're doing is just adding the bottom low. So that, remember the green I highlighted? That's the little boy right here. The SSA, pretty fairly simple. I think the only difference here is that I'm trying to make clear that this is the M. That's very important. So that's the M being multiplied by the total number of participants. Obviously, I didn't get a quick snapshot of the formula. This will happen in the walkthrough. So, yep. And then same thing for B. They're pretty similar because if I scroll up and show you, they are very similar. It's just, I'm thankful this is a simple copy paste, so just square them all together. Square each and every individual one of them, comparison together. And this one you gotta remember, this one specifically focused on the M and the P. There's a heavy importance for the third part of the question, having a strong importance on the M. I may not have shown it as clearly as I would like to, but there is a heavy dependence on the M, and that's why it's there. Especially for the A, this is included. here, 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 and I think even here, where when you go all the way down to the division part, that m still right there, being divided by it. The only difference between the two questions up and down, one was being divided by the n, being the number of people, and the m, the number of measures. So that was key. SSAB stays the same, and this is where all of this comes into play. So the groups, there were two groups, or two conditions, whatever you want to call it. And so if you divide it by 1, this divided by 1 gives you this answer. Obviously 4 decimal places versus 1. Pay attention to the measurement position. In this case it was 1, so I moved everything up by 1. And the previous one was 0. You can see that. And then over here we had 5 P groups. If you remember, 5 of them, you subtract DF, it gives you 4. And then you get this over here because you divide this by this, so it gives you this. And by the way, guys, if you want to fuck up your program, actually, you know what? I'll leave that towards the end. And then so A times B, well, it's just 4 times 1, so that's quick math. And then so A MSAP, so this divided by this gives you this. Let me fix that. Yeah, sorry guys, I find burnt out, exhausted, 3 days just doing this shit. Okay, WAG, pretty straightforward, pretty simple. It's the M that's getting subtracted again, so that's EG times this thing, so that's 5 times 10, that's 10 times 4, that's 40. So we get that as our final answer. Obviously with the S, we divide with the SWG, and W is a really hard word to say. You divide this by 40 and you get this as your final answer. The total obviously is just this times this times this minus 1, so 5 times 5 times 5. I mean, not 5 times. That's 125, but 5 times 5 times 2, that's 50 minus 1, that's 49. You can see it right here. Heavy importance on the M, don't forget that. And then so for the this formula is a little different because if I scroll up, this one's comparative to the WG, this one's to the AP. Let me change that to a P real quick. Thank you. Okay. So you can see here we're dividing by the AP, where versus if we go back up here, we were dividing by the SWG. Obviously, the one thing that stays the same is that this is still getting divided by this. Nothing there changes, but MSA is getting divided by the MSAP, and the MSP is getting divided by the MSAP. And then so the graphs are pretty simple. If you see a 1 by 4, don't be alarmed, you get the right answer. 4 by 4, you get the right answer. And be careful with this last one because it's 4 by 40. If you end up accepting them all, don't worry. If you end up rejecting a few, don't worry about that. But it's pretty simple all in all. I will not be using the Excel for the walkthrough just so we're clear and I can demonstrate and show you how to accurately do this. It's going to be a pain in the ass, but we'll do it anyway. Thank you for watching, and click for the walkthrough video.